Hi folks, Joseph Kursky here with you to talk about 4 ways to teach about scale with ArcGIS Online. 4 ways to teach about scale. Why is scale important? Scale has to do with systems and relationships, patterns, and trends. Scale is fundamental to many disciplines, including and perhaps starting with geography, where we look at scale across time and across space. Let me just say at the outset that these are powerful but easily implementable ways with concrete tools that foster discussion in class. A little bit about me. My background is I love to do research about how students learn with spatial technologies, including geographic information systems, remote sensing, GPS, GNSS, web mapping. So this is one of my recent articles about online engaged instruction in geography and GIS using Internet of Things feeds, web mapping services, and field tools within a spatial thinking framework. So just so you know, I really do care about this, not only in my own instruction, but encouraging others to adopt these practices and also in my own research. So that's where I'm coming from, and I also serve on the ESRI education team, devoting 100% of its time to supporting you all in schools, community, technical, and tribal colleges, libraries, and museums, and universities. So let's get started. 4 ways to teach about scale with ArcGIS Online. Let me also say that I've got many videos in my Our Earth video channel, including a playlist of 12 videos called Scale Matters. Scale Matters. These videos, I hope, serve as a backup, but also an introduction to some of these hands-on activities that we're going to explore together. The first way, I believe, is powerful and easy to use in the classroom. And when I say classroom, I mean primary, secondary, and also university level. You are creative instructors. You can modify these comments and these guiding questions of mine to suit your own level and your own discipline. But first of all, base maps and measurement in ArcGIS Online. If we open ArcGIS Online, for example, one of the layers in ArcGIS Online is a USA topo base map. Now, I used to work at the U.S. Geological Survey, so I have a real heart for USGS topo maps. One of the nice things about ArcGIS Online is that you've got the USA topo maps at your fingertips at multiple scales, 3 scales in particular, 1 to 250,000, which is what we're looking at right here, 1 to 100,000, and 1 to 24,000. Those 3 scales are available. And they're powerful to teach about scale because you can look and have your students look at the national map standards for each of these 3 scales, just a little bit. They're long documents, so just tap into it a little bit and look at what symbols are shown, what features are shown, what are generalized, what content is shown at each of these 3 scales. So for example, Bismarck, North Dakota, we've got it at 1 to 250,000 scale. If we zoom in, we're going to see 1 to 100,000 scale. These are different scales, true, but they're also different units. The 1 to 250,000 scale, if you start looking at the contour lines, they're in imperial units. The 1 to 100,000 scale maps, which were produced in the 80s, that's another thing that's different. The 1 to 250,000 were mostly produced in the 60s and 70s. The 1 to 100,000 were mostly produced in the 1980s. And the 1 to 24,000s that we're going to get into in a moment were produced from the 1930s to the 1990s. So you've got a huge span of range of years there, which is another fascinating thing to think about, change over space and time. But if we look at the 1 to 100,000 scale, we see some features there for Bismarck. We see more detail than at 1 to 250,000. We also see how the river changed. So we see some physical changes on the environment too, not just the cultural changes. But as we zoom in further, we see the 1 to 24,000 scale. And many of the 1 to 24,000 scales also have the purple tint on it, which means that the original pink was updated to the purple. So you actually have a 2 timestamp series there in the 1 to 24,000 scale. So fascinating to be able to do this at multiple scales with the USGS topo layer inside ArcGIS Online. So the other nice thing about this is that you've got a search capability here, so you can actually look at any area of the world. So we were looking at Bismarck, North Dakota. What if we looked at Memphis, Tennessee? Long distance information, give me Memphis, Tennessee. So, okay, we've got Memphis now, and we're going to zoom in to 100,000 for here's the 1 or 250,000. Notice it's on a longitude line, so we've got different symbology on each side of that line as well, which is interesting. 1 to 100,000, and then to 1 to 24,000. So again, fascinating to do this, not just for urban areas, but of course you can look at rural areas as well.